Nice to see you on a Trump Day. Happy Wednesday. It's August 17th, 2022. Ken Matthews Report. Subscribe to me, please, on subscribestar.com. If you're watching now, you are subscribed, and I cannot thank you enough. Thank you. Subscribestar.com. Subscribers, I still post things on Rumble, but all the exclusive regular content you'll find on subscribestar.com for subscribers. Yes, I'm still on Rumble. Believe it or not, I'm still on Twitter. I don't know how that even happens. I don't know if they're shadow banning me or blocking me. You know, it's one of those things where, again, I go back to, I've been on Twitter for years, and I have the exact same amount of followers. Doesn't go down, doesn't go up. It went up a little bit, but it just, and that just, I don't know. I mean, I don't want it to go down, but I mean, not that Twitter is so corrupt and it's so woke. In fact, one of the stories in the pile of preparation today, Elon Musk, the judge did order one of the twits at Twitter has to share information about how he created bots, and because there was a lot of hanky-panky with Twitter. In Musk's defense, and I don't know the guy, because if I did, I would have said, hey man, why don't you support me and buy this channel? So initially he was going to buy Twitter, and then his people were going through all the misinformation that surrounded the Twitter financials. There were fake bots, there was targeting of particular people politically, and that's not good. So apparently Twitter represented its worth as something it wasn't, or its value, excuse me. I know worth and value are different, but so that's the deal. So, and he's also, Musk is also buying a soccer team. I forget what it's called. There's a name of it. I don't follow soccer. The last soccer game I went to was my youngest son, I think. Yes, and he was 11. Yeah. What's it called? I forget. It was right on the tip of my tongue. It was one of the big soccer teams that, if you go to the game in England, you'll get punched in the face. No, that's just a sign of support. You may just get punched in the face for being at the game. Liz Cheney lost. We knew it. She's a loser. Now, not everybody that loses is a loser, okay? But Liz Cheney, who I refer to as Dick Cheney Jr., because she lies almost as well as her dad. Anyway, she lost the primary in Wyoming. We knew it would happen, so we don't have to worry about her in Congress. But now, in typical fashion, this is what I love about the left. Now that she's been exposed as a liar and worse, and she can't even win a primary, she's discussing running for president. That's standard Democrat garbage. And the only reason, my opinion only, that she would do this is because somewhere in her mind she thinks maybe they can win it for me, like they did Biden. Because how do you know what her approval numbers are? Oh, they're bad. Not that that even matters. It just shows trends, but still. So Liz Cheney loses. That's good. I think it was by 25 points or something, which was very refreshing. Sarah Palin won in Alaska, her primary. So a little different setup in Alaska. There'll be more than just two people running in Alaska. I forget the system it's called. But anyway, she's in the game. She's in the fight. And it would be nice to see Sarah Palin get into congressional. I think it's congressional seat, right? Get a congressional seat. I would like that. I like Sarah Palin. I know that, focus groups say you shouldn't say that, but I don't really give a damn about focus groups. I never have. Ask my former bosses. So, it would be great to see Sarah in. Liz is out officially. We knew that was coming. Oh my gosh. I don't really think that the Democrats comprehend the bridges they have burned and the American citizens they have turned off by going all. See, you're not even allowed to say this word on Twitter, but I'm not on Twitter. By going all Nazi. I don't think they realize it. And the thing about the left, because that's what Nazi stands for, National Socialist. The thing about the left, they just keep piling on. They never back off. See, Republicans will back off. Sometimes it's because they're gutless. Sometimes they're just, well, research shows that if we bring up the election, we shouldn't, Democrats, they're like a dog with a bone. They're going to arrest people. They're going to target people. They're going to censor people. They're going to ban people. They're going to slander people, libel people. Holy moly, defame people. They're going to keep on keeping on. There's a story in the pile today about AT&T workers, some of whom have been home since the spring of 2020, still are required to get the vaccination, the COVID vaccine. But what? Yeah. They just keep pushing. It doesn't matter if the facts come out. It doesn't matter if the evidence comes out. So I think Liz Cheney is either delusional, and I think her daddy's a little bit there. Her daddy's dangerous, though. He's 80 plus. He's another 80 pluser. A lot of 80 pluses in government. I don't understand that, especially on the left. I know Dick's not on the left, but there are plenty of Dicks on the left. Let me finish, like Dick Durbin, right? Okay. LinkedIn has silenced, and it's nice to be able to talk about this because it's finally getting documented. Because I was kicked off LinkedIn over and what they do something silly to get rid of you. But I was ruffling a lot of feathers on LinkedIn a few years ago because I was asking big boy and big girl questions, and that's something that woke people will not tolerate. So something as simple, do you think Joe Biden's doing a good job, or do you think he screwed up with this following policy? That's enough to ignite someone on LinkedIn to make a call or send a message and report you. You have to understand, there's a lot of good people on LinkedIn, but there's also a lot of woke soy boys and angry, bitter. Like, for example, I believe I was kicked off because I was questioning the vaccines, but it's hard to say because Democrats will censor you for anything. You don't have to be breaking the law or violently threatening anything. All you have to do is question a leftist, and they'll get so pissed off, they'll go after you. They might key your car. LinkedIn silences climate skeptics while Biden pushes expensive green schemes. This is from CFACT, and Kevin Mooney reported it. Here's the warning from Kevin. Be careful about circulating scientific data that debunks the assumptions standing behind costly climate change policies. Yesterday Biden signed that piece of garbage, the Inflation Reduction, Stick It Up the American People's Butt Act. Remember? And then there's big sections in there for climate change and healthcare. And how does that reduce inflation? It doesn't. It doesn't. It's a way to mask for woke people that the middle class is getting screwed again bigly. In fact, now the analysis is starting to come out, and in typical fashion, the majority of us are in the middle class, and we carry the burden of the elites at the tippy top. Okay, we carry the burden for people like the Obamas and Bill Gates and people at the bottom. That's our job. Like in New York City now. An order just came down. They're going to be putting homeless people in some really nice hotels. And you and I will pay for it. Or the taxpayers in New York, if there are any left. But that's an example of where does the government go to get its money? Us. There's no other source other than printing it, which devalues it. But that's done on purpose. We'll talk about that later, because the Federal Reserve is sticking its you-know-what in the you-know-what, and it shouldn't be. We'll explain that, especially with the digital stuff. And I will disclose, probably in Report 2 today, Segment 2, how scary the new digital game that the central bank is playing. And that people go, well, digital's good. It's blockchain. It's secure. Whoa, we know that. In the private sector, digital is outstanding. Digital currency is what I'm talking about. But when the government takes over the digital platform for currency, then we're all jammed up. I'll explain that. Anyway, getting back to LinkedIn, getting rid of climate skeptics. That appears to be the message LinkedIn has been sending to scientists and researchers who question the premise of regulations aimed at curtailing carbon dioxide emissions. The Microsoft-owned, California-based LinkedIn shut down the account of Gregory Wrightstone. Now, I've had Gregory on my show. This guy is smart as a whip. He is a geologist, and he serves as the director of the CO2 Coalition, but he's also written, and I've read all his books, but he's written some great books on how the government uses the climate crisis and fake information to manipulate corporations into doing their bidding. It's very, very good stuff. In fact, the title escapes me of his big one that really is informative. I'll have that on the show later too, or at least I'll post it. Wrightstone posted data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration that showed current atmospheric concentrations of CO2 to be at historically low levels when compared to the Earth's paleoclimatic record. Now, see, this is stuff that cannot be tolerated or allowed, okay? The whole CO2 thing. It is one of the biggest scientific manipulations in history. It really is. And there's just so many contradictions within not only the climate crisis crap, but the whole CO2 thing. So let me just get this right, New York. The kids go back to school in a couple weeks, and they all have to put a mask on all day, and these little precious children have to rebreathe the carbon that they're expelling. They're rebreathing what should be expelled from their body. They're going to be rebreathing it. Do you understand how blanked up this is? Anyway, Wrightstone, great books. I will post them or I'll have them in another report. So this is one of the reasons you got to be careful about the climate crisis and exposing that, or the COVID scam or exposing that, or the 2020 election or exposing that, or the Whitmer kidnapping and exposing that, or January 6th or exposing that, or Hunter Biden or exposing that, because, well, you're not allowed to. That's why on this show we talk about things that we believe are relevant to you, not just our subscribers, but our entire audience of maybe 13, 18 people at any given time. But we also talk about all the things that the news media has been frightened into not talking about, or leveraged, or bought off. And it's not that difficult to do. I mean, most of the people in the news media are, puppets. And at worst, they're agents of forces that want to hurt us. And we've realized that. We know who ends up on TikTok, or who ends up on the boards, or who ends up in the management structure of YouTube, Facebook, Google. We talked about it last week in a report. A bunch of people from the CIA True. We listed their names. Go look it up. People hear CIA and they go, conspiracy. And that's great marketing on the CIA's part. Just like the FBI has great marketing. And the only reason they have great marketing is because they found enough prostitutes in media to market them that way. But anybody with a brain knows the FBI's track record is one of the worst in law enforcement. Across the world. Yeah, I know. Biden signs the sweeping health and climate law. You know it as the Inflation Reduction Act. The law, it did pass with no Republican support, includes $375 billion to fight climate change. The biggest investment the federal government has ever made to address what Joe Biden describes as a key priority for his administration. Translation, it's a key priority for Barack Obama and the other people that are telling Joe Biden what to do because he's incapable of a full sentence or getting from one room in the House to another without assistance from Jill. So the people that are running this stolen administration, it's pretty much the Obama crew. Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, John Kerry. John Kerry is some ambassador of stupidity. He's the ambassador of climate something. I don't know. You know he was in Vietnam for 4 months? Yeah, he was in country for 4 months. Well, you know it because he carried a camera around with him. I didn't want to say video because it wasn't invented yet. Whatever it was, whatever millimeter camera he carried around. And he taped it. He got 3 medals in 4 months, by the way. And then I guess he threw 2 of them over the fence. Remember? And people were like, yeah, John Kerry, he's our dude. He's our dude. Well, now he's flying around, all 9 feet of him. He's flying around and doing the whole climate change thing, climate crisis. He's also loaded. He's independently wealthy. Him and his wife are loaded. I think he's more loaded than the Pelosi's. We'll have to check. As long as we were talking about the climate scam, the climate crisis, fake climate data, the fact that carbon is a building block of life and the left wants to get rid of it, that should tell you everything you need to know. Dodge is discontinuing its gas-powered muscle cars. Now, let me just say, you may remember, depending on where and when you grew up, the Charger and the Challenger, and you may remember seeing them revived in the early 2000s by Dodge, and they are hot. They're hot. They're smoking. And they're one of those rare muscle cars that as men in particular get older, you could still be comfortable driving one around. Do you know what I mean? Because there's some cars that are so amped and muscular that if you see an older guy driving it, you're like, why are you driving that? You know what? You know exactly what I mean. You know what I mean. Like you see a Porsche coming down the road. If you see a Porsche going 70 in a 70-mile-an-hour zone and holding up everybody in the fast lane, okay? It's not James Bond. It's some 82-year-old congressman who, I don't know. I just think it's funny. But one thing I always liked about the Dodge cars is no matter how old you are, you can get in that bad boy and you don't look ridiculous. Some muscle cars make you look ridiculous depending on your age. That's what I was trying to say. Okay? There. All right? I said it. A statement from Dodge. We are celebrating the end of an era and the start of a bright new electrified future. by staying true to our brand. No, you're not. Unless your brand is a bicycle. So you're going to make a muscle car electric. You're going to make a muscle car electric. I don't know what the sales was on those cars, but I think after the Mustang, remember they brought the Mustang? Remember those commercials? I can't even remember. Was it Paul Newman? Oh, I can't remember. No, it may not have been Paul Newman. Maybe it may have been somebody else. I forget who it was. Darn it. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I don't think it was Paul Newman. You know, they brought him back and he was in a field and he was talking. You'll have to help me with that. I can't remember if it was Paul Newman or not. Yeah, I can't remember. But they brought the Mustang back, remember? And it looked when Ford brought the Mustangs back, and it looked a lot like the 60s or the 70s fastback. Remember that? Oh, wow. That was sweet. That was sweet. And I see those Mustangs now. I guess they're what, 2008, 2010, I don't know. They're still tough looking cars. They don't look ridiculous. They don't look ridiculous. And people don't look ridiculous driving them. Now the Charger and the Challenger models. The move by Dodge comes as major automakers are moving away from traditional gas-powered cars because they too are afraid of the government. And the people up top want their big fat bonuses and are not going to push back. This is to curb harmful carbon dioxide emissions. The American automobile company Dodge is discontinuing production of its widely popular gas-powered muscle cars. That's a typical leftist thing. That's a typical socialist thing. It's widely popular. But the government says stop, so we will. So they will. Earlier this week, the Charger and Challenger models in their current form will end next year. As the company follows suit with the rest of the automobile industry and makes large investments to produce worthless, well, let me rephrase that, because they certainly ain't worthless if you've seen the price tag, to produce more electric vehicles. The Charger and Challenger models, iconic muscle cars in the 1960s and 70s, were revived in the early 2000s. Like I said, that was like one of the best bringbacks ever, I thought. I just think they're tough looking. Especially like if they're flat black, you know when you go flat black on them? And they look like, remember what the Punisher did with the GTO? And I know a little bit about GTOs. My first car was a 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. Yes. It was also the first car I totaled. It was also the first car I blew up the motor in. So, a lot of first. Yeah. But in the Punisher, remember he had a flat, it was like flat black goat. Check it out. Punisher's a good movie, the first one. Second one's not bad either. But be careful about putting that skull on your car, because the Punisher's skull is on the FBI list that may get you in the category of being investigated for being an extremist. Having the Betsy Ross flag, rosaries are now. Yes, I'm not kidding. Yes, rosaries, like the Catholic rosaries. You know, the Hail Marys and the Our Fathers and Holy Mary and the crucifix and all that. I was raised Catholic. I have some nice rosaries from my grandmother. One is Hungarian. It's very nice. Okay. So, yeah, you're celebrating the end of an era, all right. To give the models a proper send-off, Dodge is releasing 7 special heritage-influenced models for 2023. The 7th and final 2023 Dodge model will be revealed at the 2022 car show in Las Vegas in November. The move by Dodge comes as major automakers are moving away from traditional gas-powered cars to electric vehicles because they have also bought the bullcrap narrative that we must curb harmful carbon dioxide emissions. How do you make electricity? Why doesn't anybody ever ask that question? Electric vehicles are steadily increasing their market share, accounting for about 4% of all car sales in 2020, and growing to more than 5% last year. How much of those car sales are fleet sales to the government using our taxpayer dollars? It's just like the solar panel crap. How many times have you seen a commercial? Get solar panels. They're efficient and affordable because now we'll take money from your neighbor. We'll take money from other hardworking Americans and subsidize you putting solar panels on your roof so we can say more people have solar panels. The reason the government has to subsidize things is because it's at a level where it's still crappy or it's an inefficient product. That's why they do it. So the government comes in and they kill the free market. And if they can't force you at gunpoint, which is coming, if they can't force you at gunpoint or extort you, or scare you into doing something, whether it's a vaccine or a purchase, they will rig the market. So if electric cars are too expensive and you don't get a bang for your buck, don't worry. They'll figure out a way to take taxpayer money to manipulate the market so you get a good deal on an electric car or a solar panel or whatever they want you to be using. But hey, you already know that probably so. Alrighty, what else is coming up? Oh, coming up in the next report, we have a monkey crotch update. I'm sorry, monkey pox. I just keep thinking crotch. I don't know why. I don't know why I think it's monkey crotch. I just don't. That would be horrific. It's been around since 1958, by the way. I think the first human was 1970. Before that, it was just monkeys, thus the name monkey crotch. So we have a report on that. We also have a COVID update. Now, both these reports are banned from major news media because they're accurate. But I did want to remind you and show you the big thing now is the United Nations declaring war on dangerous conspiracy theories. The headline: the world is not secretly manipulated by the global elite. Well, that settles it then. Thank you for settling that. I really appreciate it. The UN has declared war on conspiracy theories, describing the rise of conspiracy thinking as worrying and dangerous, and providing the public with a toolkit to pre-bunk and debunk anybody who suggests world governments are anything but completely honest, upstanding, and transparent. Think about that. It's so true. It's so true. Listen to this. The UN also warns people on social media not to connect. Listen to this. This is so Nazi. This is exactly what we predicted years ago when people used to laugh at conservatives. And we used to say, someday when free speech is dead, you're not only going to be told what you're allowed to say and do, but if you try to question anything, you'll be targeted. Remember we said that? Well, no, that's only Nazi Germany. You mean like all the Nazis we brought over from Germany and they resettled in government positions in the 50s? The UN also warns that George Soros, the Rothschilds, and the State of Israel must not be linked to any alleged conspiracies. They have teamed up with Twitter and the European Commission and the World Jewish Congress to launch the campaign dubbed Think Before Sharing. Stop the spread of conspiracy theories. Wow. Even the global elite are starting to poop their pants now. That's good stuff. So now you can get banned anywhere, anytime, for anything. I guess we should watch what we say. Okay. Second report coming up. Or segment 2, rather. Segment 2. Hope you're having a good Trump day! Wednesday, August 17th. I don't know who made this water, but it is delicious. Sorry, California, but I'm not making fun of you. I'm just saying, if you would take your water, if you would set up more desalination plants, you would have more water than anybody, because you have a beautiful coastline with the largest supply of water on Earth. But your government doesn't want to take that salt water and turn it into this, because then they can't control you. Now they can control you. I don't know where that came from. Just a little public service announcement for water. All right, we'll see you in segment 2. Thank you again for watching. Be right back.